Galileo 2333 Creepypasta Night Shift Rules Part 3 Night Shift Rules Part 3 I was configuring another test cycle of components. I looked up and sitting in a chair a few yards from me, was the little girl in the orange hijab and blue dress. She was holding an oversized bag of Capri Sun and sipping it through the straw. The rules didn't mention that she might be holding anything or consuming beverages or food. I was just about to tell her that no food or beverages should be close to sensitive equipment and there are strict company policies about this. But the rules I've been given say I'm never to talk to her unless she's playing with the XRF spectrometer. I rationalized a decision not to say anything to her by realizing the Capri Sun is in a closed bag that's specifically designed to reduce the chances of mess for a child who might consume the liquid while actively playing. Even though she was in a no food or beverage zone in the facility, she was several feet away from the closest equipment. Anyway, she finished the bag of Capri Sun without spilling a drop I could see, and she didn't get any closer to the equipment. She got up and I watched her deposit the empty Capri Sun bag in a trash can. She returned to the swivel chair she'd been in and continued watching me intently. I returned to my task, sporadically looking up to see her still in the chair. After some time, she was fidgeting and swiveling the chair back and forth more as time progressed. The building was quiet. No equipment had been powered up, as I was still arranging all the pieces before starting the process. The girl looked at me with big eyes and a shy smile, and the sequins and beads woven into her dress and hijab shimmered in the dull fluorescent light of the lab. She got up from the chair, continuing to look at me, and walked into a nearby bathroom. About 3 seconds after she entered, closed and locked the door, the air compressor at another workstation started up all by itself, making the once almost silent lab much noisier. The computer at the workstation I was at suddenly came to life with a red message similar to what I'd seen the night I failed to follow Appendix A in a timely fashion. It read the following: "The air compressor is your only protection. Once the pressure tank is charged, the motor will shut off and that protection ends. You have 67 seconds, when it started, then 66, 65, 64 to get into the electron microscope room and shut the door. Proceed there immediately and await further instructions." I left the workstation and entered the electron microscope room and closed the door. A computer monitor on another desk lit up. It said, "The electron microscope is already prepared. In the chamber is a die-cast model of an electric bike. Look in the portal and verify its presence. If it's not, we don't have good news for you." I looked in the portal and there was a highly detailed model of an electric bike. I continued reading the screen. Focus the electron microscope on the e-bike model until you see the image of a My Little Pony Applejack figurine with wings. That will remind the little hijab girl of her favorite toy and encourage her to leave you alone long enough for you to take the next steps to your safe escape. Once you see the winged Applejack MLP figurine, immediately leave the electron microscope room with the door open and light on, so she'll be tempted to enter. After that, enter the break room. The fridge that normally has the seal on the door should not have the seal. Open it and there shouldn't be the bottle of Sprite that's normally there. Instead, on a shelf in the door, there will be a key to the stairs leading to the vacant upstairs of the building that this company used to occupy. Close the fridge and go directly upstairs, using the key to unlock the door. The stairway light should be on. Upstairs, the hallway will be dark except for light from what was once the HR office. Do not under any circumstances enter or look in any other rooms upstairs. Most of the furnishings have been removed except that in the former HR office there's one desk and a computer and a few odds and ends left behind. Enter that room and check the monitor for your next instructions. That's interesting, Applejack is the name I've given my scooter. I've never really considered myself much of a brony, but when I bought that scooter off Amazon, I noticed it was delivered by FedEx. I'd watched a documentary that day about some guy who was employed at a FedEx hub before he was let go for absenteeism. He returned, shot up the facility, killing 8 former co-workers and then himself. He was a serious brony, who especially liked Applejack. That story inspired me to name my scooter Applejack. I have used the electron microscope a few times even though I don't normally use it. It was completely set up and all I had to do was adjust the focus until I saw the MLP figurine in the display monitor. I adjusted the knobs and the grayscale image began to acquire color. Not long afterwards an image of the My Little Pony character Applejack appeared, with Pegasus wings extending out behind me from somewhere in the lab, and excited pitter-patter of little feet skipping towards where I was. I instantly jumped out of the electron microscope room and ran to the break room, opening the fridge and fetching the key from the butter tray in the door. Then I made a beeline to the door leading to upstairs, and unlocked it. I took 2 steps at a time ascending the stairs. I entered the room that used to be the HR office. A worn-out fluorescent light hummed loudly and the walls were festooned with cobwebs and dust. A single desk stood, some of the drawers removed. A computer monitor, no keyboard or mouse, just a monitor, lit up. On the desk was a tool that looks like a fancy pair of pliers and a piece of metal that looks like the tamper evidence seals for the fridge in the break room. On the wall was a box full of earplugs. In the corner of the room, an unopened, brand new looking 2-liter jug of Sprite, the computer monitor silently displayed. Shut the door. I closed the door to the office, with me inside, looking at the monitor. More words appeared on the screen. Read and understand fully before opening the door or leaving this room. You'll need to place the bottle of Sprite in the fridge in the break room, and affix a seal with today's date. Take the bottle of Sprite, the crimp tool and the seal blank with you as you leave this room. Also put in some earplugs for reasons mentioned below. The crimping tool is pretty self-explanatory. Turn the little screws to set the stamps to today's date. Place the seal in the door latch where you normally find it, and crimp it to seal it up and stamp the date into the metal. As soon as you open the door, all the bathrooms in the building, including the disused ones upstairs here, will be brightly illuminated and the doors will all be wide open. Every toilet in the building will have an apparition of the Skibidi Toilet characters. It will be extremely loud. The sound levels will far exceed OSH limits, hence why you need earplugs, and the motions of the large Skibidi faces gyrating as they sing the familiar Skibidi Bop song might be distracting and make it difficult for you to concentrate on what you're doing. However, this is the best thing we can offer you for your protection as you escape. The Skibidi apparitions cannot continue for very long, and that's the time frame you have to escape. It's unlikely the Skibidi Toilet apparition can hold out longer than 5 minutes. Also be aware that during the Skibidi Toilet phenomena occurring in the bathrooms, any reflection you see of yourself in the building, in any window or mirror, etc., will lag 1 second behind what you're doing. Any reflection you see of the little girl in the orange hijab will be 2 seconds ahead of what she's doing. The Skibidi Toilet phenomena is affecting a 3-second phase shift in the fabric of space-time, and that's what creates the protective barrier between you and her. We chose 3 seconds because that's the amount of time after she went to the bathroom earlier this night, and instead of you leaving immediately, you sat there listening for any noises in the bathroom, at least until we were able to initially protect you by starting the noisy air compressor. During your escape, stay away from the bathrooms and avoid staring at any of the Skibidi faces for an extended time, although you don't need to completely avoid a quick look. In the conference room there will be bright red light from that bathroom and the THX roar sound from Skibidi Toilet will play in there. Stay completely out of the conference room. Once you've placed the Sprite in the fridge and affixed the seal, exit the building and do not ride home on your scooter. Remove the battery from your scooter and take it with you. Outside you will find the e-bike that's ridden by the headless ghost, but he won't be there, just his bike, neatly parked on its kickstand. As you remember from last time, that bike now lacks a battery. Install the battery from your scooter on that bike. It should fit perfectly. Get on, power it up and ride directly home. The reason you should be riding that bike home and not the scooter is because the little girl in the hijab will get on your scooter and try to chase you. It will be very bad if she catches you. She's very athletic, and you'll need all the speed advantage you can get. The reason you should take the battery off the scooter and use it on the bike is to cause her to need to propel the scooter manually with her legs, while you have a pedal-assisted e-bike. The motion of her kicking the scooter will cause her dress to fly up, so avoid looking back towards her. Once you arrive at your apartment complex, park the bike around a corner from the door so there's no direct line of sight from it to the door to your apartment. Remove your battery from the bike and do not look at the bike again once you've got your battery. Immediately enter your apartment. Your scooter should be inside your apartment as if it was completely untouched and hadn't ridden tonight. I took the earplugs and stuffed them in my ears. Then I grabbed the seal affixing tool and the blank wire seal. Finally I retrieved the 2-liter bottle of Sprite. Slowly opening the door, I was instantly hit with the deafening sound of the very familiar Skibidi Toilet theme song. Even with the earplugs in, it was very loud. I crept past a bathroom in the upstairs hallway. The door was wide open and a huge Skibidi face was extending from the bowl, spinning and bouncing wildly. I descended the stairs. I could see more than one of the bathrooms from that vantage point. All had the same Skibidi toilet apparition. I saw my reflection in a window against the nighttime darkness outside and the lights inside. My reflection lagged 1 second behind my movement. Then, in the reflection behind me at the other end of the lab, the little girl in the hijab and blue dress appeared. She reached her hands out. They extended like tree branches and wrapped around shelving. Her eyes turned as red and bright as lasers. Her moment looked like she was desperate to grip onto something to avoid being forcibly removed. 2 seconds later I turned to look directly, and her same pattern of movement repeated that I'd seen in the reflection. I maneuvered to the break room, passing the bathroom I'd seen the girl go into before this all happened. Instead of the Skibidi toilet face, there was the camera head from the Skibidi toilet multiverse, emitting a bright blue light and the Tears for Fears song known to be associated with that apparition. From the conference room I could see the red glow and hear and feel in all my bones the THX roar I'd been told to expect. In the break room I threw open the fridge, placed the Sprite bottle neatly on the shelf. Then I fiddled with the pliers and the tamper evidence seal to see how to set the date. As I turned the dials, it seemed the Skibidi toilet noises were fading or growing weak. I dialed in today's date on the mandibles of the special pliers. The moment I clipped the seal on the door, the Skibidi toilet apparitions seemed to restore some strength and even become more excited. I headed straight to my scooter I'd parked in the shop room, snagging my coat and helmet and donning those. As I unlocked the battery box and removed it, I could hear the little hijab girl's excited footsteps approaching in the darkness. I jumped out the door into the parking lot, finding the old e-bike propped neatly on its kickstand. The bike was faded, but I could recognize the bike share company it belongs to, the company long out of business. The battery bracket that my battery fit perfectly into looked newer than the bike and recently installed. The frame was straight and level, although on the right side the paint was scratched like at one time the bike had fallen over at high speed. It was a 3-speed hub shifter on the rear wheel and a motor on the front wheel. I powered up the bike, and on the dashboard error messages appeared saying it couldn't connect to the network, probably because the bike share company no longer exists. But the bike powered up, the chain creaked and the motor emitted a whine that sounded like gears that haven't been used in ages. The brakes seemed reasonably able to stop the bike, although the adjustment was obviously off. I pedaled out of the lot and headed towards home. I accelerated quickly and the whine of the front wheel motor ascended in tone. As I glided along the desolate bike path, I noticed a headlight behind me. It was my scooter, and the little hijab girl was riding it, kicking powerfully with both legs. In the glare of the light I could only see subtle shadows, but it was obviously her. The headlight was probably glowing because the scooter's motor acting like a generator and providing enough power to feed the electronics and the headlight. Even though there wasn't a battery on this scooter, she was gaining on me, so I pushed the pedals harder on the bike and the pedal assist increased. At the last turn before I reached the final stretch of road leading to my apartment, the front wheel wobbled as I rounded the downhill corner. I was able to maintain control of the bike. I noticed a street sign post was bent so the edge of the sign jutted out into the street, perfectly at neck level with me. I avoided that. I pulled into the lot at the apartment complex, around a corner from the door. I jumped off the bike and retrieved my battery box and ran directly inside, not looking back. In my apartment, my scooter was parked in its usual spot, looking completely untouched since before today. It began to rain extremely hard outside. It was still an hour or two before I'd expect any daylight. I noticed something odd. My bathroom light was on, and the toilet seat had been left down. I'm a single male living by myself, so I usually leave the toilet seat up at home. I looked in the kitchen garbage can, and there was a crumpled empty Capri Sun bag. Looking out the window into the haze, I saw a figure walking a bicycle along the road, away from my home, and the visibility was bad enough I couldn't see if it was the headless rider or his bike. Turning around, I noticed a pair of gleaming dark eyes and a cute face in my dim apartment. I increased the light, and on my easy chair, a My Little Pony Applejack plushie, with 2 wings,